game that never ends. The fighter in you brings out the fighter in me. Shake it off and take your corner, time for shout out.
Welcome back once again, friends, to another edition of the Mighty Shoutout Podcast. We have a real life ninja in the house, Rich the Ninja Pham. Thanks a lot for joining me today, man. How are things?
Things are good, yes. Obviously, the fight canceled 2 weeks ago. A little upset about that. Still
Yeah,
coming over it, but yeah, things are good otherwise.
yeah, and we'll talk about that a little bit, obviously. So we did so before that fight, we did an interview with Alex Bryan. Alex was having problems finding a good place for Wi-Fi, so we got to have a little sort of 2, 3, 4 minute chat there.
Yeah,
And it just became very clear to me that we need to get on the blower, man, and do a podcast. So I'm
yeah,
appreciative for your time, sir.
for sure, for sure. Felt like we had a good connection, and I'm always happy to share my thoughts. I feel like I'm pretty old in this game now, so it's nice to be able to share some knowledge, and if it helps someone, I'm really happy.
Sure, and not just that, but I come from a traditional martial arts background as well. I know that you do, so I tend to
Mhm.
have a little bit of a soft spot for those kind of people. So
Right.
yeah, so of course we want to talk about that now. Before we get into it, so your last fight, we did the interview, and for whatever reason, it didn't happen. So I'm not sure if
Mhm.
you've been listening to the last few podcasts, but I've been getting real deep lately into the rules and the politics around. Well, to be honest, I just came to realize this, but amateur Muay Thai. So in Canada. And I feel like I kind of got there. And then I was taking a drive, or I was just driving to from work, whatever. And I was like, okay, I got it. And then I went, wait a minute. What about pro? Like, so
Mhm.
we got the amateur thing at least maybe mapped out, or we're getting there, or in Ontario, BC, like you talked about Manitoba, it's already well on its way. But
Yeah,
why can't we have pro Muay Thai here? Which is
yeah,
unfortunately, and we don't have to get into it, but unfortunately, because of just that sort of question, your fight got canceled. I mean, it was almost canceled before that as well, or maybe not your fight,
yeah,
but Muay Thai World Cup in Ontario.
yeah.
Um, I don't know why. I'm not going to pretend like I know why. It doesn't matter. I wasn't there. However, the result is you didn't get to fight for a WBC title.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
It's
how? Let's start with the news. Once you found out this thing was not happening anymore, how were you feeling? It's pretty obvious, but
Oh yeah. Uh, I tell everyone at first my brain wouldn't even accept it. I was like in
was that right?
denial. I was in denial at that point. So I've never cut this much weight. Usually
Oh
I was
man.
like, yeah, I went down to it was my first time going down to 140, and I was probably about like 7 pounds away. And then I was in so much denial, and like when I have any fight, especially if it's a professional fight, I treat it very seriously. I
Sure.
do a lot of planning. And then, especially with the weight cut, I've done my research. Um, Me and Joey at Combat Arts, we've done a lot of research for like how to weight cut properly and doing the rehydration protocols. It's pretty common knowledge now. Like we follow the George and Lockhart
Mm.
protocol, actually, that a lot of UFC fighters follow.
Hmm.
I try to follow it to a T because it is my field of study. And when
Whoa,
I
whoa,
first,
whoa! Got to interrupt. Your
yeah,
field of study. What's that?
it's kinesiology. So
Okay, I
I
didn't know
went to
that.
school. Actually, I went to school for computer science first, like a typical Asian nerd. Then I realized I'm not that much of a nerd. I actually really need to work with my hands and my feet and with my body. So I went into kinesiology. I got a degree in that and didn't know what I was going to do really, but most of us end up as trainers. And then,
Right.
of course, now I'm in acupuncture. But
Hmm.
yeah, because I study it, I really wanted to understand the rehydration protocol and putting so much time into my food and my water and everything. And then hearing the fight got canceled, I'm like, no, like it's not happening. I decided to keep cutting my weight actually, and then just I decided to see how low I could go, and I was pretty much just 2 pounds away, and I had a meal that same day too, so I know that 140 pounds was possible. But in to answer your question, I was in denial. Like
Sure.
I did the weight cut. I even did a trial like training session the next day to see how I felt, because in my mind I still wanted to execute my plan that I
Hmm.
had so much in mind for.
Yeah,
So
I
I
get that.
felt great that next day. You can ask my training partner, Rohan. He's he had to feel the hard blunt of my rage and my frustration into the into our training session, and then you could ask him. I felt really good,
Oh, I'm
and I
sure
was
of it.
excited to put on that show. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So so you carried through with the weight cut anyway,
yeah,
and then did a training session. Now I don't hear that very often. You hear some people go, "Oh, I'm going to make the weight," but to me, a lot of it is ego driven. Like, oh, I said I'd be there on that weight. I'm going to do it. Where it sounds like to you, it was almost
yeah,
like, well, a couple things. Number one, I still want to close this chapter. I still want to weigh in. I still want to exercise 24 hours. I want maybe it's not for a fight, but I
yeah,
still got to close that chapter.
yeah, yeah,
Number one, brilliant. And number two, the other thing, I'm assuming it was a trial. Like, let's see how I
yeah.
feel. Let's see if I can make the weight,
For sure, for sure. It's kind
dude.
of like, I don't know, any business creating a product and you don't get to release that product to the public, but you still, in the end, you created that product for yourself. And I did this training, I did this planning, yes, for the fight, yes, for the WBC belt, but it was also for myself because we always try to challenge ourselves, right?
Right.
So yeah, I wanted to complete that challenge, and that's what I did.
Yeah, that's great. Good on you, man. Good on you. And I very much get the impression, according to what Instagram tells me, that you're very meticulous about. I'm assuming your whole life, but definitely training. I'm assuming that I got that head on.
Yeah, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure, for sure. Like when I first made my step into not even like just A class, like once I started getting past 10 fights, I really wanted to see how the professionals trained, with their two-a-day routines, how pretty much after 10 fights, I decided to go to Thailand and then I really tried to extract, of course, the knowledge over there.
Mm.
And then just putting it all together with my knowledge and my education, like really what is the best way I can train? And I'm still on that path, that's my
Mhm.
passion. I fighting, of course, is fun, but my passion is training, my passion is health and performance. So I always tell everyone I'll be doing this. I want to be doing this till all the way until I'm old. I want to be like one of those 80-year-old kung fu masters that can still kick ass and stuff, right? So
Sure. Yeah, sure.
yeah,
No, I hear
but
you.
yeah, that's
That
where I'm
comes with
at.
having to look after yourself. That's for sure.
For sure, for sure. Yeah. That's why I love the fight game, but my health does come first because I want to be doing this forever, right?
Right. Yeah. Your fight life is you age in dog years. It's very short.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Or most of us pretty short. Um, so that this was you normally fought at 147. Is that correct?
Yeah, typically 147 for a day before weigh-in.
Bro, I've said it on the podcast before. I'm sure I've said it on commentating, but you are thicker than a snicker, man. Even your feet are big. Like,
Yeah, I've
how
also
was that
noticed
getting down
that.
to 140? Like, you said it was kind of easy, or not easy per se, but not
It was not easy, I'll be
sure.
honest.
It never
But
really is.
yeah, but I think I've kind of spoiled myself in terms of weight cutting. I'm 5'6", 5'7", and like I should be fighting. Typically, people my height fight 135, right?
Yes.
135 around there.
Yeah.
So, and my whole amateur career, I fought at 155.
Yo.
So, yeah, and then I still do. Like my last fight with Victor and Max, th those were at 155 because I am pretty lean, and same thing, longevity, right? I don't
Yeah.
want to be cutting a lot of weight for an amateur fight that where the weigh-in is the same day. It doesn't make
Yeah.
sense, right?
Yeah.
So I'd rather be strong and healthy, and I still have a good result when I fight at 155.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
We know that.
yeah,
I was there for that spinning back kick that you landed on Victor. Dude, that was
yeah.
sick. That was one of the best knockouts I've seen with my eyes. And just that fight was crazy too, man. That was a mad fight.
It was a crazy fight. He was durable. I think he was really big that fight because
Yeah.
like I hit him with everything. He wasn't going down, so I had
Yeah, and
to
that's his
call
fight
the
style,
big
man.
guns.
He's fighting like he's just being chased by a pack of bees or, a beehive. Like he,
Yeah,
he gets
yeah.
pretty wild.
It's fun.
How old are you, Rich?
I'm 36.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. You don't look a day over 18, so
Hey,
it's hard to
yeah,
tell.
my birthday's tomorrow, actually.
Hey,
Yeah,
happy birthday, sir.
36. Thank you.
Got any big plans?
Actually, I feel like I've celebrated quite a bit since after the fight got canceled.
Okay.
So like all my desires have kind of been satisfied in terms of
Sure.
eating. So
Yeah,
I
if
don't really,
anything,
I just kind of want to lay low and
get back to
relax a little
routine.
bit and
Yeah.
then yeah, back to business.
Yeah.
What I
So
love.
do you see a matchup down the road with Alex Bryan ever happening? Like now that that's gone, like was it I don't know, like you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
are you guys gonna cross paths?
I think so. I think we'll cross paths.
Politely,
I
of course. I don't mean that like on the street or nothing. Just just
yeah,
just to
yeah,
be
of course.
clear.
Yeah, yeah, of course. it just all depends on Muay Thai World Cup because I feel like they would want to make the match happen again. But of course, my trust in Ontario right now is just not there. So
Sure,
it's still a question for me too.
sure.
And yeah, I really want to. I've been just doing a lot of jujitsu actually. So I'm enjoying that here in Alliston. So I'm trying to get into the ground game because I know there's going to be a window
This
where
podcast is over, bro. Don't you ever talk like that. I'm just joking. I'm joking. I'm joking.
what's wrong with what's wrong with the ground game?
It's not Muay
Uh,
Thai. That's the problem. Anyway, I'm just
yes,
joking. I'm
yeah.
just joking.
Um, But then, yeah, once my window's closed for the striking competition, I would like to probably compete into grappling, right, into my old age. So that's why I
Nice.
would like to start it now. Yeah.
Well, yeah, let's be real, man. You can only, I'd like to say punch and kick, more like the other way. You can only get punch and kicked for so long. I mean, I definitely
Exactly.
understand that transition. And me too. I'm a martial artist. I don't
Mm,
really teach karate anymore, unfortunately, because I'm teaching Muay Thai now. But
mm.
that only changed like a year ago. I was doing both, but I love karate. You know, I love what traditional martial arts brings. I'm a martial artist. I'm not just a Muay Thai guy.
Yes.
I'm a martial artist.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
definitely understand that even my I know I keep bringing up my stupid knee, but I'm like 2 weeks away from being, I can go back to normal life, quote unquote. And it's like,
Oh, yeah.
I'm looking forward to being a martial artist again. I got to start again, start
Yeah.
slow. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to
Yeah.
what feels like maybe being a student again. So I
Yeah.
definitely understand what you're saying there.
Mhm.
Um,
Maybe I can look at your knees sometime.
yes. Yeah, of course. Yeah, of
I
course. Look who I'm talking to here.
I had full ACL knee surgery, and then I was in school for acupuncture at the time, and I used my acupuncture quite a bit to rehab my knee. So
Nice.
yeah, we could
Okay.
talk.
Yeah, yeah. We'll have to. Well, somebody can fly me out. I can't fly myself, but maybe somebody
Yeah,
else can.
yeah.
um, now, I'm very curious about your backstory. Oh, sorry. What I was getting to about Alex Bryan there was
Hmm.
so so now that you might meet down the road, maybe you're not willing to release anything too much, but what were you kind of lining up? What did you feel like you had a game plan against Alex?
My game plan against Alex, yeah, I guess I could tell a little bit. Probably won't meet down the road for a long time. It was mainly a lot of interruptions. He's kind of a forward fighter,
Hmm.
so of course trying to like stop his forward movement with a lot of interruptions
Okay.
and just being like a little bit more of a counter fighter. Yeah, a little
Hmm.
bit on the back foot and such. But with 5 rounds and my cardio, I would like to late in the later rounds, I was planning to just full steam ahead after I kind of downloaded his movements with the counter fighting and
Right.
then push forward after that. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I get that. And he's quick, man. He's got quick feet, quick hands. So maybe let him expend some energy,
Yeah.
rethink about getting counter strike, get him to plant his feet. And then, yeah, I get it. I get it.
Mhm.
Was there anything you thought that he had that you're like, yeah, I should probably just keep an eye on this?
Pretty much the right hand. That's
Yeah.
it. I feel like Gervonta Davis talking about Ryan Garcia's left hook, you know. He's
Right.
just got left hook. He's just got the right hand.
Sure.
I had to look out for that right hand and done my fair share of like boxing training and stuff. But
Mm.
just the southpaw orthodox setup too. I'm very confident with my left against the right,
Okay.
you know, or it might be my left cross, left kick, that classic southpaw and orthodox rear side attack.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm very fond of that game. I love that game too. It's just pure energy expenditure, right? And it's kind
Yes.
of who's got the stronger rear side.
Yep.
Then with me coming down in weight, I was very confident I would be the stronger person with the rear side.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good classic. I'm southpaw as well. Southpaw orthodox battle. That's a gooder.
Yeah.
There's some
Our
heavy kicks in
favorite,
that.
right? Yeah.
So can you break down for us what's your fight now? I shared that picture. I totally ripped off your Instagram, but
Mm.
my dude, you belts out your eyebrows, belts off your arms, belts coming out your ass. Like, dude,
Yeah.
break us down for us. What's your fight record and stroke yourself a little. Tell us about some of these titles.
Time to flex, yeah.
That's it.
It's just uh, I would like to say a lot of them are professional titles, but a lot of them are amateur titles. Back to your point, like there's a big bottleneck with Ontario and professional fighting. So I did get a lot of amateur titles. I started competing 2013. Eric Rocha was my first Muay Thai cornerman. So we
Nice.
did a
Shout
lot of
out to
fights
Eric.
together.
I love
Yeah,
Eric.
for sure. He's been a really, really great guy bringing me up in my amateur career. So yeah,
By the
there's
way, I'm sorry to interrupt, man. Even just
yeah,
recently, I want to give a shout out to Eric. I would say just by what Instagram tells me in the results, man, that's probably one of the best trainers in Canada at the moment.
for sure, for sure. Shout out to Eric. He brought me up really well.
Nice.
And I'll give a little sneak peek. I'm talking to him right now for Prestige Fight Series to see if
Oh,
we get a fight happening.
oh, okay,
So we'll see. We'll see. Stay
okay.
tuned for that. Yeah.
Beauty.
Yeah, for my amateur, I got the TBA title. I can show you here. Yeah, I got the TBA title, a lot of WKF.
Mm,
WKF was a big kickboxing and they were doing Muay Thai for a while. So I got the WKF provincial and national title. A lot of
mm.
kind of like a lot of promotions in Ontario, like Tri-City fighting
hmm
for Daryl from Darkside.
Dark
He was
side, yeah.
promotion there.
By the way,
And
real quick
then
for those listening, he'll be on the podcast Tuesday talking about all things
oh
Muay Thai and of
cool.
course the tournament. But carry on.
Nice. Yeah. Daryl's great. We went to WKF Worlds, so I
Mm.
did place third at WKF Worlds way back in the day. And oh, another common one is WKA. I think that's more fond of you guys with Mukai.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah.
I won the WKA what was it, Muay Thai national title. Yeah.
Who'd you fight for that? Do you
I
remember?
fought Eddie Cheng.
Eddie Chang. Shout out to Eddie.
Yeah.
That's an old school name too.
Yeah, for sure. He was
Nice.
a great fighter. It was a good fight. Yeah. And yeah, I got the Bangla belt, whatever you want to, however you
Oh
want to
yeah,
rank that.
sure.
Bangla from Thailand.
Nice.
Spent 1 month there, gave me a week's notice, and then you're fighting. I didn't know who was fighting. I looked at the flyer and it said a C beside my opponent's name. Like, who's the C? They're like, oh, that's a champion. You're fighting the champion. Okay, do I get a belt? I got a belt for it.
Okay, good, good.
Yeah, that's the Bangla belt. And then,
Nice.
yeah, that kind of about sums it up. My amateur career was like about 20 fights, and then the rest are like pro 20, 22. So my overall record now is 24 and 4. Yeah.
Nice. Beauty, man, beauty.
A
Now,
big hiccup with COVID. I feel like I should be in the 30s and the 40s.
sure.
Like 2018, I got a really bad concussion because I was training boxing. So that took me out for about a year and a
Mhm.
half. And then COVID happened. So it was like about 3, 4 year layoff.
Yeah.
And then my first fight coming back was with Jake Peacock because I was so like, so eager to fight that I took like probably the biggest fight that I could have. Probably not a smart decision, but that's what happened. Went
Hey,
for it.
and real quick, I've said it to you personally. I've said it on the podcast. I'm gonna say it one more time. I want to apologize for an early podcast. I'm just a descriptive guy,
Sure.
and when you got finished by Jake, there wasn't a stumble. It was straight down, and I described that as felt like a coiled poop, just straight down, and that's incorrect. And I know what we've talked about that, but
Yeah.
that honestly, in all honesty, out of 135 episodes now, that's one of my regrets saying that, and I just once again want to apologize. That's not how I want to do this. So, Rich, I'm sorry once again.
I appreciate it. Appreciate it a lot. It was a hard fight for me at the time. We could
For
speak
sure,
about it openly now.
of course,
Kind of like the emotions are gone, of course.
yeah,
So, yeah, I understand your job. That's the entertainment business, right? We all gotta have thick skin, and sometimes that's what attracts eyeballs. We have to just put ourselves out there and our emotions. And I know sometimes you might say something that you don't exactly mean, but it's for the purpose of entertainment, right? So
sure.
all good.
135 episodes in, you're gonna say some stuff people aren't gonna like. That, believe me, I know.
One mistake for that amount of shows, that's pretty good.
Not bad, not bad, I guess.
Yeah, not bad.
um, you talked about a concussion. Was that just from training, from sparring, and beyond that?
Yeah.
What were some of those symptoms like?
Yeah, it was from boxing sparring. I'm still convinced today boxing is like way harder than Muay Thai.
Totally agree, dude.
Yeah.
When they
And
spar, they fight.
yeah, there's no easy sparring, right? You see
Yeah,
the boxers go. And I guess that is why they get paid millions and like, exponentially more than us. It's a really hard sport, but I was crazy enough to try to take on a boxing fight. Just I think it was right before, yeah, right before a couple years before COVID. I wanted to do a boxing fight, but I didn't want to lose my Muay Thai skills.
sure.
So I decided to keep Muay Thai sparring plus boxing sparring together. And it was specifically 1 week. I had like 5 sessions of sparring, and then like almost most of them were hard.
Okay.
And then by the
That's a
end of the
rough
five
week.
sessions, yeah, I came back on Monday. I was hitting pads, and then uh, everything was bright. The lights were just like super bright. I got light and dizzy.
Huh.
What else was I was feeling? That was the main one. Yeah, and I
And
felt like this is not right. So it
okay,
wasn't like
okay.
sudden either, right? Like I did a week of training. Of course, you're tired, so you kind of like desensitized to all the symptoms.
Right.
But then the next day when I came in for training, it was like weird, just dizzy, the bright lights. Oh, the sound was really loud. I couldn't deal with loud sounds. And it was like
Huh.
that for a year and a half. And I went to, I had a good team with me. You would find her on my profile, Shar. She's an osteopath, but she's certified with concussion. She deals with a lot of fighters, and then she helped me along the road there. And but like combining her her kind of assessment and her blueprint along with therapy from other therapists, like actually, that's how I got first exposed to acupuncture because it helped give me a lot of relief. And yeah, massage helped, of course, too. But a year and a half, I still say been the hardest injury for me to recover from.
Mm.
I've I've torn my shoulder just recently, tore my ACL. You can see my wrist here. It's like this hasn't been grown back. This is just fractured. But concussion, no doubt, it's the hardest injury to deal with because it's so subjective. You can't measure it, and
Right.
it's always lingering. And even to this day, I know if I don't take care of my health, those same symptoms can actually come back. So it's like, do you actually heal from it, or is it just like you're keeping those symptoms at bay through your health and your routine? So it's like I have no choice to be at my best and stay healthy, right? And I think that's
Yeah.
life fighters choose. I mean, you got to know that you're choosing that when you go into this.
So in saying that, then, like you just said, you know, your next fight's against Jake Peacock, where you got stopped.
Mhm.
Forget the fight. Here's what I want to know. After that,
Mhm.
was there concussion symptoms, or were you worried? Because that was your first fight back since that, right?
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. I was definitely worried, but the worry came after. I was just angry at first. So much anger. So like I didn't even think about how I was feeling at the time. In terms of how I felt, there's the mandatory 1 month suspension. So luckily, that 1 month taking it easy, I actually didn't feel too much come back. Like
Mm.
maybe the slight headache that with that same pattern, it's like kind of always around the temporal area.
Hmm.
I might still
I've
get
noticed
those
you do that a
mild
few
headaches.
times now. You keep
Yeah.
you keep doing that. I've noticed you do that a few
Yeah,
times now. Is that where the symptoms were? Behind your ear?
yeah,
Behind the
yeah.
head?
This is actually a common acupuncture channel, like around the ear here.
Okay.
A lot of acupuncture channels run through here, so that's why I kind of like pointed out. And I know that's where a lot of my headaches are, and that's what helps me kind of like treat it with the
Huh.
acupuncture. But yeah, that would probably be the most of it. The most annoying thing is like the bright lights and bright sounds that didn't come back too much. So
Mm.
I guess because I was much more experienced and knowledgeable, I knew what to do. Just don't do anything, like a lot of guys are so eager to train again.
Right.
You need to
Right.
have the patience to just lay off it. And then in my mind, like we all think about training hard. I think about resting hard. You can put your energy and your ambition into resting hard too. Because fighters, we always want to do stuff hard. Well, if you want to do something hard, why don't you rest hard, right? Like
Nice.
look into the ways that you can recover and heal yourself to
Right.
to best of your ability. So
And I yell at my fighters and have for a long time.
yeah,
Rest is just as much a part of training as training.
for sure, for sure.
You know,
Once you
and
get that mindset, then you're good. Yeah.
well, and I definitely want to get into that a little bit. Um, before we do, let's talk about the fight with Jake Peacock. So first of all, it hurt my feelings. Jake's 3 minutes from my gym. I see Jake all the
Yeah.
time. I love Jake. He's great. I love
Yeah.
his people. But I've known you for a long time. I've always kind of seen you as somebody with unbelievable skills. I knew that you came from a bit of a traditional martial arts background, and it shows in your fight style.
Mhm.
Uh, I've only known you. Maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I've only known you as sort of like, from what I've known of you, as a quiet and humble guy who just does his work and does his thing. And so it
Yeah.
hurt my feelings when you got stopped by Jake. Like
Yeah.
you're one of the guys that I consistently want to cheer for regardless. Like I
Mhm.
and I think it's the whole package. I think it's everything I laid out. I want to cheer for guys like that. Am I wrong? Are you a dick?
Yeah, I've always been a quiet, humble kid.
Yeah.
And if you knew me in high school, I was probably too quiet
Hmm.
and like super introverted.
Hmm.
But
Okay.
just being a personal trainer, you have to learn how to connect with people. So slowly you become an extrovert. But deep down inside, my original persona, you could say, is very quiet and
Hmm.
humble, introverted. I still like to, like, I think that's why I'm really analytical with my training. I like to just kind of like dive in deep with things.
Hmm. Be
Not so
introvert,
good
be
with
internal.
business sometimes. Yeah, very internal.
Yeah.
But of course, learning acupuncture, learning martial arts, it's always yin and yang. You need to have both. You need to be able to be external to amplify your internal and back and forth, right? So that's why I feel like I can finally embrace both sides.
Nice.
If I'm a dick, I think, if you're a dick all the time, it doesn't mean anything.
Yep.
But
Good call.
in the circumstances where it's like if you know I'm a really humble and quiet guy, and there tends to be there I randomly have an opponent and you see me really acting out, there's something really off with this guy, or that it's really authentic that I'm
Right.
acting out and being a dick. So,
Yeah. Good
I
call.
I try to remind myself, not to be so nice and humble all the time because there's times you need
Sometimes you
to.
got to be a dick.
Exactly. You gotta be a dick and
Yep.
you gotta put the foot down, yin and yang, right?
Yep.
So I
Yes, sir.
embrace that still. Mhm.
Nice, nice. Okay. Well, good. I'm happy. I'm happy that my assumption according to Instagram and stuff is correct.
Yeah.
Um, Now, how was before being stopped fighting Jake? Oh, so that was your first crack. Now that was also a WBC title fight, right?
Yeah, my first
All right.
crack.
Right.
That was like that was my third pro fight, and
Okay.
I wanted to just take a crack at it because it's been off for so long, and I felt like I needed to catch up to where I should have been.
Yeah.
And that's my first crack at, yeah, like a WBC title, if you want to count the Bangla belt as a pro title, I don't know, but
Sure.
yeah, like a real pro title. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I gotcha. What was um what was it like being in there with Jake? Like before the final, but the
Like
stoppage,
in the
just
actual ring.
yeah, in the actual fight. What was it like?
Mm. I I feel like it was very almost I hate to say it, it's almost like he was the ninja because
I
things were
gotcha.
happening and I couldn't process it. Maybe it
Yeah.
was the ring rust or whatever, but I'm being authentic here. I'm known as the ninja, but I felt like he was a ninja that day. And it really, really angered me the fact that because I'm known for my spins too, and the fact that he got me with a spin,
Right.
I'll be honest and say, he pulled a ninja on the ninja, and
Sure.
I'll be honest, that's how it is, right? We
Yep.
all go from it. After that fight, I was probably transformed, like in terms of my mindset, because I did train really hard for it. It's just that I didn't have the experience and like in terms of the specific technicalities of how to just put someone down, cause damage. I was straying around a lot of just like conditioning in the off time, like just getting strong, things like that. But
Mm.
after that fight, I just zoned in. Like I've been a person where I have many techniques, but after that fight, I became zoned in. I wanted to just focus on one technique and just make it perfect. And I never overlooked any details in a single technique
Mm.
after that fight. My cross has to be perfect. My jab, the defense of my jab has to be perfect. Where is your hand as you're jabbing? It's not just the offense and defense. And I started to build myself differently, and yeah, that's how the fight went. But the fight itself, it was like I didn't get to fight, in the ring. That was also very frustrating, right? Because it was the first fight. I felt like, someone just drugged my drink. I
Right.
fell asleep, but I didn't get to fight. I was so frustrated.
And you
And
showed that in the ring. You could tell you were very frustrated.
yeah, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Like I didn't even get a chance to fight.
Yeah.
Uh, Compared to like well, a lot of people, it's hard in terms of like the complexity of the fight, but in terms of physicality, there was no. it wasn't that hard because I didn't get to fight, right?
Right.
And
Right.
because I had all that energy in me to release still, it changed me. Yeah, I had to funnel that energy somewhere
Mm.
else
Well,
after.
spoken like a true martial artist, though, man. You know, go back and sharpen the swords, however many you need, whether it's one or whether it's 10. But I like
Yeah,
that, man.
yeah,
I always describe Jake's fighting his offensive pressure as like me. I'm 5'8", so being 5'8", trying to stand in a 5'10" pool, where
mm,
every time you got to come up for a breath, you get one, and he just kind of pushes you back down. Like
yeah.
you're a little behind. You're just looking for one more breath to catch up, and he just won't let it happen.
That's right. That's right. Yeah,
But
I think
that's how
that's
I see it anyway. But of course,
for
with
sure.
being punched and kicked and elbowed and back flipped on and all that stuff.
Yeah,
So another fight I want to talk about was I believe it was in the tournament you fought Apisit.
great. Yeah, I was just gonna bring out this fight.
Okay, hold on, man. Let me tell you about this
Yeah,
from my point of view. First of all, again, I'm a big fan of you, and I've said this so many times on the podcast. Some people, most people, let's talk about fighters only. Most people are phenomenal fighters, but what separates what makes the difference between the good fighters and the ones who have it is the ones who will not give up no matter what. You see a lot of guys who are behind on, they know that shit's not going their way, and so they concede a little bit. They'll fight still, but they'll kind of concede.
yeah,
And and I'm going to be real. I thought you had every right to do that in that fight, and you did not. And bro, those kicks you were taking on the arms, man, I'm telling you, I was wincing.
mm,
Anyway, and then for whatever reason, I wasn't following you on Instagram. I try to keep my personal different than the podcast. I'm just tired of looking at everyone's feed
yeah.
twice, you know?
Of course.
And for whatever reason, I wasn't following you. And then I see the picture of your eye.
Yeah,
I had no idea, man.
mhm,
Can you break that whole thing down for us, man? Like,
yeah, yeah.
dude, I don't know what to say.
If you watch the fight very carefully, I would even it I had the picture of my one eye, but
Yeah.
actually both eyes were broken. So, and my nose was broken, yeah. So if
Both
you watch
eyes
the
and
fight,
your nose?
yeah, yeah, yeah. But just the
Oh
one
my
eye,
God.
yeah, only the one eye needed surgery. So that's why in the picture you saw that my one eye that was like post surgery, it was like super swollen and all that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because the orbital bone is like your eyeball socket, right? And the
Right.
break's at the bottom.
Yeah.
So the second eye, the break was small enough where my eyeball is still kind of intact.
Okay. Okay.
That's why there's like, yeah. But if you watch the
Oh,
fight carefully, the breakdown of it, I think it even happened in the first round. There was just one engagement. Like I was pretty leading well in the first round, but he got one elbow in the first round, and I just kind of shook it off. I think that already broke one of my eye sockets because I didn't notice it in the fight. I was just thinking like, oh, this is how small gloves feels. It probably just like rocks your field of vision, and
right.
like my vision did feel a little bit funny because it
Yeah.
feels different than like big gloves, right? Getting hit with small gloves.
Yeah,
But the
man.
fact that it
Yeah.
was an elbow, I didn't even see the elbow. So I'm pretty sure the elbow fractured my eye in the first round. And then the second round, I took a lot more elbow. So I'm sure that was the more significant break on the other eye.
Right. Right.
And I'm pretty sure after the second round, I'm like, my vision is like weird. Like I'm trying to throw stuff and everything's missing.
Yeah.
And even when I watch the fight again, like, why didn't I land? Like, all my punches are there. I was really throwing heavy, of course, too. Probably, there's the experience and emotion that is to cause that.
Sure.
But the vision was affected, definitely. And I feel like if I had my vision still, it would change the result of the fight because my first round felt really good. Second round is just downhill from there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
of course, you mentioned like I'm willing to fight to the end, especially for that tournament, right? With the
Sure.
contract. In my mind, there was no, I could not lose. I have to win this. But in foresight, thinking like that now, I felt like that thinking is probably also my downfall. You want to be eager, but not too eager. I was
Sure.
too eager in that fight.
Right.
It affected my fight style, but that's the breakdown. I go watch the fight again. You'll notice it when I get hit by the elbows, my kind of like shaking my head, and then I'm like really trying to open my eyes and refocus my vision, especially when I'm like circling out, just like creating distance.
Yeah.
You'll notice by the look on my face that my eyes are just something off. And then crazy thing, after the fight, we had no idea. I had no idea my eyes were fractured. I'm just like, oh, I had a hard fight. It's small gloves. Maybe my eyes just got scratched. Even the doctor thought it was the same thing. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, your eyes are just tons of what's it? Abrasions right now. And I've had many abrasions in the past, so I'm like, oh yeah, this is just how it is. But the second I stood up, I couldn't even stand up with my equilibrium. So I'm like, no, we got to go to the hospital. They've told me that two breaks, nose a little bit chipped and broken, but yeah, that's how it was.
So again, I got to come back to the question, man. When you were like, I have to go to the hospital, are you starting to get, concussion PTSD?
Mhm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
PTSD, and it was even worse than what I ever felt before because I vomited after going to the hospital, and I always heard vomiting after like hard trauma is a really bad sign.
Mhm.
But I don't know if it was from because they shine this stupid bright ass light in your face, like
Yeah.
into your eye. Because yes, they have to analyze your eye, but if you're in a concussive state, you're already sensitive to light.
Sure.
And they decided to shine this super bright light in my eye. I think it was too much. I only vomited when they shined the light in my face.
Uh,
Think it was too much stimulation. So yeah, having the light sensitivity, that was definitely PTSD. It was the worst dizziness and stuff I've ever felt. I honestly, in that hospital, I felt like I'm done fighting. That's what I felt. Yeah. And
yeah. I
then
was curious about that.
even doctors too, like you gotta really think about your future, they're like just giving you that hard talk and you're in a very vulnerable state, so of course it gets to you, right?
Sure.
But
Yeah. You're down.
oddly
You're
enough,
emotional. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I was
Adrenaline
like,
dump.
I'm
Yeah.
done fighting. Like, I gotta take care of myself. This is too much. But oddly enough, I watched the fight the next day and I just couldn't accept it. I'm like, I could be fighting way better than this. So I had that spark reignited right away.
Nice. Nice. And then so was your fight after that with Victor?
That was the first one back. Yeah.
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 Okay. So
Pretty emotional fight too, because, having quit mentally in my mind, this was like my comeback, trained really
right.
hard for that fight. Yeah.
And then again, you're in a freaking barn burner of a fight.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you pull off a phenomenal. I always think of the spinning back kick as your move, man. And
Yeah.
you pull it off and you win. How was that feeling
It
coming away with the
was
win in that fight?
it was crazy. When I first took the fight, I thought I'm not even gonna be motivated for this fight. I just lost the contract. Why am I gonna take this fight? It's useless.
Right.
It's just a fight. But again, it comes to just challenging myself. And that's why I'm really grateful to meet Ram as well.
Mm.
Me and Ram, we started to train in that time period. And his whole philosophy is just you fight to inspire others, right? And you fight to, and I noticed with him, he's got such a massive influence. He hasn't fought professionally yet, but he could easily have the influence of any professional fighter.
For
So to
sure.
me, I saw that as like, you don't need to be the best fighter to have a good influence or positive influence on
Sure.
the around you. So I just took that on myself. Took the
Unfortunately, we all know world
fight.
champions that are pieces of garbage. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I hear you. And shout out to Ram, by the way, friend of the show, and our podcast was one of my favorites, and I still listen and rethink about that. And he's such a Ram's such a an anchor in that area out there. Hey,
He is, yeah, he
that's
is.
great.
It's an interesting combination he has, and I
Yeah,
think it's needed. A lot of therapists out there, you like yin and yang, right? They deal a lot with the mental, but if you don't have the physical, how are you gonna have any real type of healing?
yeah, yeah,
That's his magic because he goes to school, he's in therapy, he's in counseling, so that's the mental side, but he uses the Muay Thai as the physical side to create true healing. You can't heal without dealing with the physicality at least too,
That's a
just
good way to put
thinking
it.
about hormones, thinking about, your blood flow, your oxygen. If you don't, just hormones itself, if you don't deal with your hormones, you will never mentally be healed or just neutral. The hormones are your mentality to a huge extent. So if you can't deal with that, and most of us, we can tap into our hormones through our physicality, right?
Right. Right.
Exercise, through breathing,
And
through everything.
and we need to. That's who we are. Like I'm sure we all do. Like the lifestyle we live. When you have a doctor, that's like, okay, well, I know you hurt your pinky. Take 6 weeks off. And like, no, that's not the answer. Like, thank you,
Yeah,
but that's not the
yeah,
answer. No, right? Like it's
for
so
sure.
so he coming from a and yourself coming from both worlds, right? The healing as well as the damaging. So
Yeah,
the
yeah.
yin and the yang, like you said. Um, so give us your background, man. Where did martial arts start from you? Where are you from? How
Sure.
did you find martial arts? How did you find fighting?
12 years old, went to Guakwai Kung Fu, Shaolin school, very traditional Shaolin Kung Fu,
Where's this?
Shaolin Hongar. This is they're closed down now, unfortunately, but it was in Mississauga,
Okay.
and he had two schools in Mississauga and Brampton, and his name was Sifu Gung, and Sifu Gung Guak, I think is his last name. Yeah,
Sorry,
but
real quick. So the way you just described that, in my mind, I'm thinking like the robes with the feet and the bald head, like monks. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
Do I got that right?
very, yeah, very much from the temples with the monks.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. How do you start there? How did you like?
yeah,
I'm going
yeah,
to soccer. I'm going to go train with monks. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
for
how do
sure.
you start there?
We were, of course, it's in Mississauga. We weren't with the monks, but it's that style, right? Very
Right. Right.
traditional
That's what I
style.
mean. Right.
I started there because I just watched Jackie Chan, to be honest. Jackie
Nice.
Chan, Jet Li, my two idols, my two childhood idols.
Okay.
And I told my dad, I want to go to Kung Fu. That's it. I got to learn what I see here.
Okay.
And
That easily makes a connection. When I see those two guys, I would choose kung fu as well. I get it. I get it.
yes, yeah, exactly. And that's always been my personality when I was young and still to this day. I'm into humans that can just do the extraordinary, do the supernatural, be
Hmm.
able to jump, flip. Jackie Chan's broken every bone in his body, jumping off roofs and all these
Yeah.
things, right? And I'm actually into skateboarding and snowboarding. A lot of my injuries come from that too. So
Oh.
his persona of, jumping off things and doing crazy stunts, that's in me as well.
So when you're
That's
in the
Gary with the
hospital
ninja.
getting surgery on your eye, I love you, Jackie Chan. This is for you.
Pretty much, yeah. Like Jackie's been through worse than this. I can do it,
There
right?
you go.
But
Nice.
that's
Sorry,
how I
Joe.
started. I went to Kung Fu from 12 to like all the way through high school. Spent like a good, yeah, 5 years, and then took a break and another 5 years back. I took a break because I thought I could become a professional skateboarder.
Okay.
So then I went back
So
into,
are you?
no, no,
Okay.
no, no.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I did dive in. I was pretty good. I could go do the rails and the stairs. But
Okay.
then, skateboarders, they have a very unhealthy lifestyle too. All my friends started to drink and do drugs. I'm like,
Mhm.
I'm gonna go back to Kung Fu now.
Nice.
I competed in Sanshou actually for about 1 year before I went to university. And yes, the side kicks and the spinning back kicks,
The takedowns, right?
and with the takedowns, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that is a staple in Sanshou and Kung Fu. My Kung Fu teacher did Taekwondo anyway, so we were doing side. Everyone teach asked me how do you do the spinning back kick? You gotta teach me. You gotta teach me. We spent 5 years just doing, not even hitting the bag, but shadowing the spinning back kick and the side kick for like years. And then I
Yeah.
still believe that's the best way to learn it because when you hit the bag stops your leg.
Hmm.
You need to be able to retract it, right?
Right. Yeah. The
Well,
bag.
I
The
still
bag
tell
allows you
people,
to have to lose control of your body.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So I still tell people that's the best way to train it. You have to shadow it over and over and over again until you feel like you have a snap into that extension. Just
Yeah.
like Bruce Lee's sidekick, you can see that snap, and you could always hear the wind on my teacher's sidekick when he throws it. It's like a
Nice.
jab. It's crazy. So that was
Nice.
my inspiration going up, and my main goal in when I started competing was to be able to combine the traditional kung fu with like real life full contact kickboxing and Muay Thai. I
Did you
still
initially find that
believe it.
difficult?
Oh, super difficult,
Yeah.
definitely. And of course, the movements change. There's only certain things that you'll use. And I still believe traditional arts today is like traditional martial arts. It's great conditioning, especially with Kung Fu. The conditioning is internal. We do a lot of Qigong with the breathing exercises.
Mm.
And I remember doing Kung Fu and then first going to combat arts, my first gym, and then I would be sparring the Muay Thai guys there. They'd be kicking my legs. I'm like, why are they kicking my legs? Because we hold horse stance for like 15, 30 minutes,
Right.
and my legs, they're probably better conditioned back then than they are now
Dude, your
because
legs
it
are
was
huge.
just, yeah, probably from the horse stance, like back in the day.
I
But I
believe it.
could take leg kicks endlessly back then, and I was going up against the fighters there too. And I'm like, why are they kicking my legs? There's no pain in the legs. Why are they trying to kick the legs?
Huh.
So I still believe traditional arts is great for the physical conditioning.
Hmm.
And you see the guys, they can like break bricks and break wood. For sure, they're strong, but then the real contact comes. You have the strength, but can you actually land your punch now? That's where full contact comes in, right?
Right.
Like you need to be able to actually land your strikes, even though you have the most powerful punch in the world. If it doesn't land properly, it doesn't matter, right? So
Yeah. Yeah. And
that's
then if it
real
doesn't land for 30 seconds, all of a sudden,
yeah,
right?
yeah. The gas, the cardiovascular fitness,
Right.
you don't have that strength anymore. What, 30 seconds in,
Right.
heart
Yeah.
rate jacked up and all that. Yeah.
So at what point did you decide, you know what, I think it's time to strap on some gloves and get after it?
Yeah, so I competed in Sancho and I was going for the Pan Ams and then I lost it. I was kind of just so upset and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go become a normal person again, go to university for computer science, like I said.
Right.
And I was just training and dabbling and just being in school and living the normal life, I felt like I couldn't do it. So I had to, that's when I came back. I was working in the gym as a personal trainer, and it was at Lifetime Athletic, right across the street from Eric Rocha's gym at the time, Mafa Evolution. Still is pretty much just a different name. It
Gotcha.
was called Mafa Evolution at the time. So that's just being a trainer there. I wanted to train across the street. It was so convenient. Met Eric and the guys there, Crew G, and that's how I got into fighting Muay Thai again. I'm like, oh, okay, like it was just something in me, I couldn't walk away from it. I tried
Sure.
to walk away from it, doing computer science, living a normal life, and I couldn't. When I decided to go back to do kinesiology, that's when I started to really pursue my passion again with fighting.
Nice. So it was kind of going back to quote unquote real life to let you know, like, yeah, this ain't really for me.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not for me, and it's just not possible in my mind. I was sitting in the lecture room, I'm like learning the next level of calculus, and I remember walking out of that lecture room like this is it. I'm not doing
Yeah.
it. And I felt terrible at the time because my parents they saved up so much money for me just to
Sure.
get that first year of university, right? So it was a traumatic, hard decision for me to do at the time. But that's what I did, and
Fair to
just
say things worked out okay.
yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
I still uh I still help them out with their real estate business, so that's my
Nice.
way. Like, you know,
Pa-
yeah, this
I'm
is
still
what
paying you
you
back,
want.
mom and dad.
Okay. Just
I
let
didn't
me let
forget.
me do what I want. I'll do a little bit of what you want too.
There we go. Everybody wins. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good call, man. Um, I already just recognized we're at 48 minutes here, man. It's a good talk.
Yeah.
What healing? Let's get into that a little bit. And by the way, we only talked about the fights that you had a rough time in. I want to talk about some good fights too, but we'll get into that.
Yeah.
What would you say most fighters need to be doing as far as healing goes from your point of view? What are they getting right? What are they getting wrong? What do they need to improve?
I think the main thing, just simply speaking, is the off season.
Mm,
Everyone thinks about being in camp, being in season, eating well in season. If your camp is 8 weeks and then you're eating well those 8 weeks, but then you have 80% of the year, the other, what is it, 10 months of the year that you're not eating well. And I find that too. A lot of people, they don't have the discipline to be good in the off season, so they just take on fights all the time.
right.
But then when you take on fights all the time, you're not actually healing and you're not actually building yourself up.
Mm,
So that's the challenge to, let yourself have some time off, but the challenge in it is in the discipline to be able to still be training hard, still be in the fight, still be eating well. I think the eating is probably the biggest one.
Definitely.
If you just eat well off season, year round, your camp is going to be so much stronger. You're going to be so much stronger because
Right.
you know, think of the mountain. You need to build the foundation. The camp is the peak of the mountain, right?
Right.
And you have no foundation there. The base of the mountain is like the majority of your training. So you think of your off season,
It's
eating,
a good way to put it.
training, all that, that has to be probably the most important part. That's why if I take on a fight, I know well beforehand I'm gonna be ready because I've been training and
Right.
eating
Yeah.
all year round. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
When you have a fight, it's almost easy to follow the program. It's when you don't
Yes.
have a fight.
Yes, exactly.
Hmm.
That's the
Hmm.
hard part to have structure when there is no structure, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's something you mentioned right at the beginning was resting hard. Now I know this is like a cats and dogs debate here, for older than time, but what's your opinion on, well, a actual resting, and what does hard rest mean for you? And do you believe in overtraining?
I do believe in overtraining, and there's many different ways to define overtraining, I guess.
Let's hear it.
Yeah. The when you overtrain in one, I think when it's really detrimental is when you overtrain in one specific domain, right? Like
Hmm.
simply take one example, just running, for example, just running twice a day. Typically, it's very common in Thailand. You run twice a day, at least 5 to 8 kilometers
If
twice a
not
day.
10 to 12. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that to me is overtraining.
Hmm.
But I don't deny the philosophy that you need to do cardio maybe twice a day. You just need to do a different method.
Right.
So what I do is instead of running twice a day, I would do running, then I would do swimming, then I would do biking, then I would do rollerblading, I do skipping. Every single activity has a different mechanical force on your
Hmm.
body. So your joints will not be overtaxed, they won't be overtrained, they won't be injured. But I'm still
Hmm.
getting the cardiovascular benefit of training that frequently, right?
Right.
So
Right.
when I went to Thailand, I'm like, oh, they run a lot. They wouldn't
Yeah.
give me a fight unless I started to run. I just do when I try to take on something new, you just follow the teacher. Like
Sure.
I'm always a person for doing things out of the box. But if I'm with a teacher, if I'm with an instructor, just do everything how they want you to do it.
Yes.
Don't be that kid. I've never been that kid in class to like step out like, oh, I don't want to do this and that. I've
Yeah.
always been very humble, right? So I just follow everything to a T. But if I want to do something different, I'm gonna do it on my own time.
Yes. Yeah.
Think a lot of instructors get fed up with that. Like, oh, you want to do this? No, you're not allowed to do that.
Yeah.
Well, just follow what he says, do what
Yeah.
he wants, do what you want to do on your own time.
Yes. That's
Right?
just being a good student in martial arts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Just be a good student and
Yeah.
like don't be a shithead.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. But I do believe in overtraining, but I totally believe in training hard. Like
Of course.
running twice a day, every day, 6 days a week. I don't believe in that. That's overtraining. Do it in a different manner. Do it like swimming is a great way to just decrease that impact, right? So if you swim, 3 times a week instead of the 3 runs, it's going to be a huge difference. And your cardio will probably be even better because your muscles they're getting adapted to different motions.
Yeah. I get
You're
that.
adapted to different motions. Those muscles won't take as much oxygen because they're used to that movement, right?
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, I believe in training hard, but also I believe in overtraining, of course.
So, so are you wearing like Apple watches and heart monitors and bells and whistles while trying to figure out all
Yes.
this?
Yeah, I think there's a balance. I wear the Aura ring here. That's my little tracker.
Oh, I thought
And I
you were just
hate
blinging out with a couple rings there. I'm not gonna lie.
No, one for the wife, one for me. Yeah, this is
Gotcha.
the Aura ring, and it's great. The main benefit for me is tracking the sleep. I do believe in tracking sleep, getting deep sleep, and all that. It's not perfect for sure. Any scientific method is not perfect. There's a recovery score. I know a lot of clients like, oh, my recovery score today is 70, Rich. It's not so good. I can't train hard today. And I get so angry. I'm like, fuck that, you're fine. Okay.
Yeah.
I know, believe me, I see you. I could see your body posture,
Right.
and in acupuncture we take the pulse. Those are
Forget your
very, very
damn digital recovery
measures.
score.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Forget your recovery score. I'll tell you if you can train or not. But
Right.
I do believe in it. I use it
Sure.
myself. I
Sure.
don't dismiss it completely. And I try to balance that when it comes to recovering hard. You want to do things objectively, but also,
And
you
track
want to
it.
kind of go with your feeling too. Yeah, you want to track something.
Yeah.
And I usually save the tracking. It's very tedious and mindful. I save it for in camp. So in camp, I'm wearing, you always see me in the videos, I
Yes.
wear a heart rate monitor every time to track how hard my session is. Because if you have, to me, I like to peak 2 times in the week. Two of my workouts are like max exertion workouts.
Okay.
How do I know they're max? The heart rate monitor will tell me that I'm getting, anywhere close to 200 beats per minute. That's for me. And I know like that's a hard session. Usually crazy pad work with Ram will get me there.
Right. Right. Well,
And
and
then,
like you said too,
yeah,
you don't have to reinvent the wheel anymore. It's all done for you. You just
yeah,
follow it to do it.
for sure, for sure. Then the knowledge is there. Everything's online, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
I do
Um,
believe in that.
um, on that, I think I can't remember if it was resting hard or, I do have a question and hopefully you can remind me, but let's just
Yeah.
do it now. I have some questions for you before we're out of here, but before we get to them,
Mhm.
um, so everything that you just talked about, I'm the fighter that just absolutely just turned into a raisin in his chair. Like, oh, he's talking about me. I don't do any of that stuff. Where do I start? Well, like, listen, I have to start doing this. I just fight. I eat whatever I want. I don't want to do it that way. Where would you suggest a young fighter start?
Mhm. I would start with the weakest point that they have. So whatever their weakest point is, I would start with that and then make that the objective in your off season. So
Yeah,
if you think your weakest point is eating, which is what I see most of the time,
for sure.
make that your off season objective. And then taper down the training. If you have an off season, taper down just 30 to 50%.
Yeah.
So you can have the energy to devote into, really it comes down to cooking, in my opinion. Cooking is, if you can cook and have your meals made at home, you're gonna be good off. I think eating might be the fact because that's the first thing that came to my mind. I would start with the eating,
Yeah.
supplementation, just start cooking your own meals and stuff like that. Aside from that, being in my background, I think strength training is very important just to maintain being injury free
Right.
from all the like ballistic movements of
Keep that armor. Keep that
striking.
armor
Yeah.
on.
For sure, yeah. Keep the armor on, and you should never feel slow though with your lifting. So whatever you're doing, you need to be lifting in a way where you still feel fast. And I actually recommend people lift before their typical Muay Thai training because there's something called contrast training. A lot of basketball players will do a max lift and then do their plyometric movement like jumping and they see better gains in their jump after lifting heavy.
Hmm.
So in my mind back in the day, I was like, why don't I apply that to Muay Thai? I'll lift before my Muay Thai training as a contrast. So your body feels the heavy resistance of the weights, but then you translate it into explosiveness and speed on the pads, on the bag, whatever. But
Hmm.
you want to think of that workout as kind of like very repetition based. You're not like going through combos and defense. You're just trying to kick as hard as you can or punch as hard as you can after your lift, trying to like maximize your output.
Right.
And those contrast lifting, I think, is a good way to lift. Lifting in general will keep you safe from injuries, but then also it'll keep all your results and your benefits translated to specific to Muay Thai or striking in general. Yeah.
Beauty.
Lift and
Beauty.
eat. Simple.
Sure.
In the off season.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest is, and not only that, but define your off season. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Yeah,
define it.
that I think that's a good idea.
Take two
Smart,
months.
smart man.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right, and then
Especially.
right, and then prioritize it better than you would fight camp. You know what you're going to do in fight camp. You know what you shouldn't eat and shouldn't. Right? It's the
Yeah,
off season. Yeah, man. Good
yeah.
call.
Off
Good call.
season, if you make it good already, it doesn't have to be perfect. Like the mountain is just the base, it just needs to be there. It doesn't have to be perfect. But when you get to camp, it's the peak. It has to be perfect after that. then
Yeah.
you could zone in even more into your eating, make it super perfect. Plus, with the weight cut, you have to, right?
Right. Yeah. Good analogy, man. That was good. The mountain there.
Yeah,
All right, man. I got some questions for you. Look, I'm sorry. We're at 59 minutes and 45 seconds. I'll go as fast as I can.
no problem.
Okay. First of all, we're going to start with just pretty much give me a this or a that. I'm going to give you two words. You tell me which one. This
Okay,
one or that one. You ready?
okay.
Elbows or teeps?
Elbows.
Ninja or samurai?
Oh, ninja for sure.
Raiden or scorpion?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I'm gonna go with Raiden.
Yeah. I mean, I figured. I figured.
Yeah.
Uh, Ken or Ryu?
Ryu, I always liked him a lot more. I don't know why.
Nice. Spinning back
Because
kick
he
or jump
looks more
spinning?
like me.
Of course. I was about to say, yeah, of course, man. And the whole aura. Spinning back kick or jump spinning back kick?
Jump spinning back kick,
Nice.
definitely.
Teep to the face or a good sweep?
Good sweep for sure.
Um, a clinch clinic or a round one KO?
Hmm. I like the round one KO.
Yeah, okay. Pad hitting or sparring?
Sparring for sure. Jockey gym style.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cornering a war or being in a war? Fighting, of course, like Muay Thai, not real
Um,
war.
being in a war right now, ask me in 10 years, I'll say cornering.
Sure. Morning or evening training?
Morning. Amazing.
Yeah, I agreed. Hard sparring or technical sparring?
Technical
Yeah,
sparring.
kind of answered that. Yep.
Mhm.
Netflix or YouTube?
YouTube
YouTube.
Premium for
There
the
you go. Yes,
win.
sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right, man. Where did the ninja persona come from? Like the name persona, or
Yes. So I mentioned I worked at the commercial Lifetime gym as a trainer.
yep.
Then everyone's like classic fitness people. I was always the weird guy doing like flips and all the
Right.
martial arts stuff. So all my coworkers, didn't even come from fighting. My coworkers just called me the ninja, and then they
Nice.
carried it into the fight world. Yeah.
Nice. That's it's fitting, man.
Yeah.
Was there one specific fight that made you realize you brought something a little different to the fight game and that you have an advantage?
Yeah, I think it's that fight with Victor with my spinning back kick because I talked
Yo.
about merging the two. Like that fight, felt like I could finally unlock my spinning back kick and use it in the fight more often. And ever since then, it's been money. So
No kidding.
that would be the fight that really unlocked that traditional abilities into the real
Right.
content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found it. I can do it.
Yes.
Yeah. I got you. What's something the public might not know about you?
Um, I'm actually licensed as a realtor.
Okay.
Just to help out my family and I'm not like actively as a
Sure.
realtor, but I have my realtor license. Yeah.
Wow, man of many hats.
Yeah.
Um, what is your routine in the corner in between rounds? Do you have a routine?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I think the most important is my corner people always know I breathe. I kind of meditate for like 5-10 seconds. So I'll usually close my eyes, breathe, and then I feel like any instructions they give me, it'll sink in better that way. So it's
Beauty.
always calming down and breathing first. And you'll find me closing my eyes a lot of the time. And it's only for like 5-10 seconds.
Yeah.
And then just wearing the heart rate monitor all the time, I know within that 5-10 seconds, my heart rate drops very drastically, which is why I
Hmm.
have like a lot of gas in my fights because I can control that heart rate.
Nice. Good to
That's it.
know. You know what's funny is I do that too. And I only started doing this the last couple of years. I haven't, but I do it for two reasons. Number one, I need you to calm down before you sit down. I need some breath in you before you sit down. And for
Yeah.
me, the other reason is I want my fighter to know that I am 100% in control. Just sit there, take a breath. I'll get some towel, I'll get some water. If I sit you down, do this, do that. I'm frantic. So it's also for me like,
Yeah.
okay, I have him or her, chill, relax. Okay, you've had 10 seconds out of breath. Sit down.
Yeah.
I,
That's
I
it.
want them to know I'm under control here. Everything's good.
For sure. For
Good
sure.
to know.
Sure.
How do you keep humble?
How do I keep humble?
Yeah,
It's really in my nature,
I was about
but
to say that. Yeah.
it's on top of that, I always look at just people with less than me. I think that really
Gratitude.
stay, yeah, gratitude,
Nice. Yep.
you know, you see the people with less than you, and
Yep.
I try to just feel where they're coming from and really just be empathetic. Like, what is it really like to be in their shoes? And I live that. And then when I live that, I live their feelings, and then it helps me have gratitude. Stay
Yeah.
deep.
I always go back to I have a buddy. I'm sure you've seen them all online, but my buddy from Africa, Xander. He tries to support everybody and all that good stuff, but he lives in no shoes mud hut Africa, in Uganda, and I always get reminded. I always remind my. I'm just feeling sorry for myself during COVID. My gym's gonna get shut down. Blah blah. Poor me. And then I immediately after that got a video from him. Sir, I can't go to sleep. Man, all these
Yeah.
ants keep biting me, so I'm just gonna spend the next few hours burning ants before I go to bed. And I was like, okay, Jason, shut your face. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
not
some
burning no
real
ants to go to bed. Right?
definitely,
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
that's awesome. I'm happy to hear that. Do you think a fighter is responsible for their marketing or a promoter?
That's a good question. Of course, the common answer would be both for
Sure.
sure. But in terms of like when there's a fight at hand,
Yeah.
I think the promoter should be in charge.
I'll tell you
But
what.
like
I guess maybe.
again,
Sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
kind of like off season, if there is no fight, I think the fighter is in charge for sure. You build that persona and the marketing off season.
Yeah.
When the fight comes, maybe it's just my preference, it would be maybe it's not even the truth, but I would love it if it was the promoter that's in charge when the fight comes to
Right.
do.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know this conversation with promoters and fighters is oil and water, so I'm going to ask it anyway.
Yeah.
Who's responsible for selling tickets, the promoter or the fighter? I know each
I was
says
gonna
each other.
say
Fighter will say the promoter will say the fighter.
without any thought at all, yeah, I'm gonna say the promoter for
Okay.
sure. That's just
I
that's
got
just
you, man. I
how
got you.
yeah.
Just ruffling some feathers here.
Yes.
Um,
Glad you
if,
asked it.
if you could pick a five fight dream team, your team Muay Thai, and you get to pick five active fighters to fight with you. Who are they?
It'd probably just be my fighters that I look up to. So it would be fight with me. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Young O,
Mm-hmm.
Giorgio Petrosian,
Mm-hmm.
Sanchai for sure.
Well, just picking all the guys at the top of the mountain,
Yeah, pretty
eh?
much. Uh, could be anyone, right? I would
Sure.
probably get Khabib,
Okay.
the ground game, and because I don't really know anyone else in the MMA world.
You only get one more.
One more. I'm gonna say I still love I still love my traditional guys. Somrak Kamsing.
Come on now, dropping old school names. Love it. Love it. Well, that's a mighty list, man. Um, okay, man. Last one. Who are your three favorite fighters of all time and why?
Three favorite fighters of all time.
Any combat sport.
Any combat sport,
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah, well, just to branch out of the box a little bit, I really like Khabib. I don't
Okay.
even like his style of fighting. I
Sure.
just like him as a fighter and
I
how
get it.
he managed this whole persona during the UFC and against Conor and everything. It was the first time I saw a fighter finish the fight and still have hatred for his opponent.
Sure.
And I
Yeah.
thought that was super authentic when he
Yeah.
beat Connor and he still was like swearing in his face. Of course, it's not the right thing to do, but I respect him so much because it was authentic. And a
Right.
lot of fighters don't have that
Right. And
authentic.
it's not a sport to him. This, like it's
Yeah,
beyond just a sport, right?
yeah,
Yeah, I get that, man.
exactly. And then of course his persona just being really religious and humble with his culture and stuff too. I
Hmm.
really love that.
Yeah, you
So
sticking to
if
your
you were to
beliefs no
ask me
matter what.
Connor or Khabib, Khabib's way cooler.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. That dude,
Uh,
Connor again just punched a guy in a bar like a few days ago or yesterday.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
can't stand that
He's a
guy.
menace.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other fighters I really love is Sanchai, just because I look up to him, being growing old and still being able to kick ass, Like I
Yeah.
said, I could be 80 years old and still be able to fight. And
Yep.
he's a perfect example of that. The longevity, fighting smart,
Yeah.
and still knocking out guys,
Damn
right?
right.
Yeah.
Damn right.
I think I think those two would be enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Sounds good, man. Sounds good. I mean, I said three, but that's fine. I'm just joking. I'm joking. All right, man. You get one shout out. Only one. One person gets one shout out. Who are you giving it to?
I'm gonna shout out to my main man Ram for inspiring me to
Chop
get
City.
second wind to compete again. Thank you, Ram.
That guy's a gem, a real life gem,
Putting,
man.
yeah, and then putting his body on the line every week to to help us train. So
I'm starting
way
to
to give a shout
hate
out to
that
him.
part of the job, man. My body is breaking down. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of getting beat up on the pads.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
That's why I decided to go into healing arts too, so I could keep my padman alive.
Nice. And I know we're at the end here, but I'd love to hear more about that. But again, we can always do another one. The podcast is never one and done.
Yeah.
Where do we find you on Instagram or anywhere?
Anywhere, yeah, it's my fighter profile. It's Rich Ninja Fam. I think that's easy enough to remember. But I would like to promote my acupuncture business now.
Please do.
Flow Strength
Oh,
Acupuncture.
wait, hold on. I'm
You
sorry.
can-
That cut out a little bit. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, Flow and Strength Acupuncture.
Flow and
Yes,
strength
and then
acupuncture.
I've decided to put more of my educational material on that because I do like to give back. I like to share my knowledge. So that's kind of all the knowledge that will eventually be the database of knowledge for if you're interested in that side of things. But just me as a person is Rich Ninja Fan on Instagram.
And not just that, but go visit a guy who understands both sides, right? The being damaged and causing damage, right? That I always
Yes.
try to look for those for healing because I don't listen to just take a rest and have a hot bath. You might have
Yeah,
you might have a headache for 4 days after having a massage. Like
sure.
shut up, no, I don't.
For sure. For sure. If the
Awesome.
therapist hasn't fixed any injuries, like, do they really know how to heal the injuries? Like
There you
with the
go.
hotels, especially.
There you go, man. Your gym. That's where are you training out of?
I train everywhere now. I teach at Allison Martial Arts. Shout out to them too.
Yeah.
Second shout out. They've their jujitsu side, really it's the jujitsu owner that's opened up that gym, Gracie Humeta. Thank you to them for bringing me into their jujitsu family. I train jujitsu there now, and then I train in Bolton with Ram, House of Muay Thai. Shout out to Triumph too. I do my
Right.
sparring there, Triumph Muay Thai. And then Grindhouse, I do my boxing training there. And Combat Arts, whenever the
Holy
time
cow.
comes, I do my training there too.
This guy's a martial arts hobo.
That's it. That's it. All
Awesome.
jack of all trades.
Well, listen, man, it was a pleasure to have you on. I wanted to do this for a while. I've been a fan a long time before we even spoke a word, and you've been around the industry for a long time, and I'm grateful. You're one of the good guys for every reason we just talked about. Um, Anything else before we're out of here?
That's it. Thank you for having me. Yeah, I just hope to, fighting is a short window, so I hope to just keep inspiring through who I am and who I am as a person, influence through that way, because just fighting is not everything. If
Sure.
people can see me as a person, hopefully that is good marketing and good influence for the world as
And
well.
real. It's just real.
Yeah,
I like real. Awesome. All right, sir. Rich, I know you're a busy man. I'll let you get after it. I can't thank you enough. I have to pee so bad, and I'm going fishing.
Have a good one, man.
All right,
Thanks for
man.
having me.
You bet. And again, Daryl from Dark Side Muay Thai, the Canadian Muay Thai Open CMTO. Is that what it is, right? I didn't want to get the
Yep,
letters wrong.
yep, yep.
CMTO. Listen, if you want to fight on IFMA, there's a real qualifier, and he's the man and making it
Okay.
happen. And he'll be on the podcast Tuesday.
Awesome. I'll stay tuned for that.
Awesome. All right, Rich, have a good day, man.